Well, speaking of Dynasty, Dynasty Warriors Origins, Jada, you reviewed it. You gave it a 9 for amazing.
Yeah.
You talked about how deep the combat is, improved storytelling. Tell us more about Dynasty Warriors. About what makes this one pretty much, I guess, significantly better than the previous ones.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm gonna jump out because I know a lot of people have been like kind of concerned about this one, even though I gave it a 9, because it does go away from some very core concepts of the Dynasty Warriors franchise, and that being there's no co-op, so it's a single player experience. And then there's also you play as one single character versus a very dynamic group of different officers and generals that you've seen throughout Dynasty Warriors last, 28 games with their spinoffs and such that they've had, Empires, Romance of the Great Kingdoms, etc., etc.
Even the Zelda ones, yeah.
Yeah, Zelda ones, they had Fire Emblem ones. Like, usually you're used to playing as a large roster of characters, whereas this one changes it. You're just playing as one. And yes, that character is not great. He's fine. It's that very common amnesia trope where your character does not have any memory of what happened in the past, and you have to go through this storyline of figuring out who you were and what your role is and everything. It does actually work well in this game, so I'm not mad at them for using that cliche, but I know a lot of people were not happy about this character. They didn't like the design, yada, yada, yada. On to the good. This game is fantastic gameplay-wise. The combat feels great. If you love action-heavy games where you are incentivized and rewarded for perfect dodges, perfect parries, this game is fantastic for that. If you want a game where it is just action-centric and you can just go through and slaughter hundreds and hundreds of people at the press of a button, this game is for you. It's got that as well. There is a ton of great stuff in this game. It feels sharp. It feels good when you parry. It feels great when you land a cool combo. There's one weapon with like the wheels, which are like basically like giant chakrams that you're throwing around. And I had I had a combo where I would pull off against generals where I would leave them with one and I would throw it up in the air and then I would whistle for it to come down and walk away as it came down and would kill the general.
Oh, that's badass.
It really makes you feel cool when you pull off really cool shit. And it is, I wouldn't say exceedingly easy to pull off cool shit, but it is not hard if you put in some time and practice and figure out some of the combos. There's a whole combos and skill trees and stuff to upgrade. There is tons of missions to do. There's 3 storylines to play through. Plus there's like secret true endings as you play through to discover. I think that the storyline is better than it's been in the past. It's still not amazing storyline wise, but it works really well for the storylines that I played through in the time for my review. I think there is a lot of for somebody who's new to the franchise, it is a great jumping in point. Storyline wise, this takes place a little bit earlier into the War of the Three Kingdoms. So this is like an earlier point, so it's kind of great to kind of see these characters at a younger point in their lives as they're kind of coming together and figuring out what type of general they want to be, how they want to rule the Three Kingdoms and such. And you get to kind of help be a part of that as your character. For veterans, you already know the storylines. You know which characters are going to live, which characters are going to die through certain events. You know what to expect. And I think that the performances from each of the voice actors are pretty solid in this game. So, and I enjoyed having those cutscenes. They also added I wouldn't say exactly a romance system to the game, but there is that whole kind of social linking bonding that you would see in like a Persona or Metaphor last year, where you talk to different generals if you help them on the battlefield, and they may pop up on the world map to go talk to, and then they'll give you little challenges to do or missions to undertake to help them out. And then you get rewarded with these really cool cutscenes that are at the max bond level, kind of intimate to a degree. Like there's no like there I haven't gotten any bond missions where I'm just full on like making out with a character or anything like that.
Are there any pecks on the cheek though?
There no pecks on the cheek. But I had one character tell me that they wanted to go drink through the night with me so they could etch the sound of my voice and the features of my face into their memory.
That's my pickup line. I always use that.
Yeah, I've heard Akeem use that. It works too.
if that's not like kind of intimate, like I don't know what is. And I had another person who was like, like I stoked their desire and passion unlike any other, and they wouldn't let me belong to anybody else.
That's just how bros talk.
Yeah.
Everyone
Hey,
talks.
Brian, at Comic-Con this year, I want us to go drinking so I can etch your face in the...
We stoked each other's fires like 15, 16 times at Comic. It's totally normal. Just I'm constantly stoking my bros' fires.
But I love that. I love that they put a little bit of romance, and I wrote this in my review. They put a little bit of romance back in the Romance of the Three Kingdoms novels,
sure,
or storyline, which is great. Combat is very varied. Each weapon feels very distinct, has its own unique identity. So whether you're using the gauntlets, the sword, the spear, the lance, the halberd, wheels, there's like 10 weapons to choose from. They all feel very unique. So like when you're playing each one, it feels like you're playing a different character based on the combos and stuff. You can customize your special abilities. You get some really crazy special abilities towards the end where you can like summon tornadoes and earth spires and fire beams of light from your hand. I don't think that was actually happening in these the original novels, but it's a video game, so I appreciate that they went for the role of cool in this game. I absolutely, yeah.
I was going to say so it's you mentioned how the story is it's okay, it's solid, but nothing to write home about. I think the attraction level for me though for the Dynasty Warriors games has always been just like the scale, like the sheer amount of enemies that are on screen, and I don't think I've ever seen as many enemies on screen that I'm seeing right now. We're looking at the footage in any other Dynasty Warriors game. Can you speak to that? Like, because this is insane what we're looking at.
There are at times thousands of enemies on screen at once. And like sometimes, and like there was a couple times where I tried to just run into the middle of those thousands of enemies and they would all like just kind of start rushing me to the point where if I got knocked up in the air or I tried to jump in, I would just get juggled in the air by bodies. Like my model was just like colliding with theirs. At one point, I have a clip on I think I saved it on my PlayStation. I didn't put it in the review, but where my character got knocked upside down. So I was like head first hanging down and I was just bouncing across the numerous amount of enemies because the game couldn't get me to land until I recovered. And so there's so many enemies. There, and I know like a lot of people are like, it's just, there's a bunch of people, but a bunch of people are just standing there. Yes, there are some people that are just standing there, but at the same time, those are the people that are like 5 to 10 rows back that aren't doing anything because they just can't get in because there's that many people crowding you.
Also, watch any martial arts movie. There's like a one-on-one fight, and then there's 5 guys on each side going like this, and they're ready to jump in, and they don't.
Exactly.
It's like Fight Club.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And this one, there's just tons of enemies on screen. And then once you finish like one of the stories, you unlock a harder difficulty, which increases the AI for those enemies so that they do attack more often and more of them come in. So like your first playthrough, not as many will attack you at the same time because they don't want to overwhelm you on your first playthrough. They want you to kind of understand and get in and learn the systems. But once you finish that playthrough and you turn up the difficulty to the ultimate difficulty, they are just coming at you from all sides. And then the generals can command troops. You'll see during our footage here, you'll see sometimes the troops are glowing orange. That means a general has commanded those troops to go and attack you or do some sort of action. So you're like, now you're trying to worry about those and you have to counter those in a certain way. It's intense. But tons of enemies on screen. I absolutely love this. I'm a big veteran of the Dynasty Warriors series. If you're a veteran of the series, if you're worried about the single player only playing as one character, play the demo. If you haven't played the demo yet, because it does a good experience of kind of showcasing that of what you're going to get combat wise. But for me, somebody who's been playing the series since Dynasty Warriors 2 back on the PS2, this is the glow up I've been waiting for this game, and it is a great start for them rebuilding. I firmly believe that the next entry in Dynasty Warriors is going to have all this tech, all this stuff, and it's going to bring back that core experience that we've been wanting in Dynasty, that people are missing in this one, which is the co-op and playing as other generals more often. Because you do get to play as them temporarily in some of the fights in this game, but it's like kind of a super move. It was like, hey, tag in for me and go crazy for a minute or so, and then unleash your massive Musa, your ultimate Musou attack, and then
your massive what did you
your massive Musou attack. It's
right,
an ultimate Musou attack. I was like, what word am I looking for? But like massive kills with your ultimate Musou.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Jada. And for y'all watching, if you're and listening, if you're not sold, definitely check out the demo.